Today we will talk about an extraordinary story, the story of Elisha, a narrative full of miracles, epic confrontations, and life lessons that resonate to this day. Imagine a world where divine power manifests through extraordinary acts, where waters divide, entire armies are blinded by prayer, and the mere touch of bones can bring the dead back to life. This is not the plot of a fantasy film, but the true story of Elisha, a man whose faith and destiny intertwined in ways that defy imagination. If you think you have heard everything about biblical miracles, prepare to dive into a journey where each turn is more surprising than the last. Who was Elisha? How was he able to accomplish such extraordinary things? And more importantly, how? What are the eternal truths his life teaches us about faith, power, and purpose? Stay with us and uncover the mysteries of the life of one of the greatest prophets of the Bible in a story that promises not only to inform, but to transform the way you see the world around you. In a land where the horizon blends with the golden fields, under the heat of an unforgiving sun, we find Elisha, son of Shaphat, engaged in the hard work of the fields of Abel-Meholah. His tired muscles moved in harmony with the oxen, working the land with determination and hope for a bountiful harvest. Elisha's life until then was the picture of routine for the children of the land, days of sweat in exchange for sustenance drawn from the ground. But Elisha's destiny was about to change. In the vibrant heart of Abel-Meholah, under the scorching sun that gilded the vast fields, Elisha's life, the dedicated son of Shaphat, was about to change irreversibly. Accustomed to the arduous rhythm of fieldwork, Elisha found himself that day performing a task as routine as it was significant, plowing the fertile land with his oxen. The simplicity of his life, marked by the sweat of labor and the earth under his nails, was a testament to his dedication and humility. But like clouds that suddenly shade the landscape, life has its ways of surprising and transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. The appearance of Elijah, the revered prophet, whose fame as a man of God preceded him like a fire, spreading across the prairie, was as sudden as it was unexpected. Elijah, moved by a divine force, chose that moment and that man, Elisha, to be his God. To continue his prophetic legacy, Elijah's gesture of casting his mantle upon Elisha was not merely symbolic. It was a divine calling, an invitation to embark on a journey of faith, service, and transformation. Elisha, faced with this transcendent call, now faced a decision that would define the course of his life. He could have continued his work, ignoring the significance of that act, and the silent voice within him whispering for change. But Elisha was not a man to ignore destiny when it knocked on his door. His response to the call was as dramatic as it was significant. He sacrificed the oxen he was plowing with and used the plowing tools to prepare a meal for the people. This was not just a farewell to his previous life, but a ritual of total commitment to his new mission. Elisha was renouncing everything he knew, offering not only his future, but also his past to divine service. Learning alongside Elijah was not an easy promise. It meant entering a reality where the natural and the supernatural intertwined, where miracles were as real as the earth beneath his feet, and where faith was both a shield and a sword. For Elisha, the days that followed were a mixture of wonder and learning, a period of intense preparation for the missions to come. Elijah, with his indomitable spirit and unwavering faith, became not only a mentor, but a portal to a profound understanding of God's power and mercy. Each moment beside Elijah was a lesson, each miracle witnessed a revelation. Elisha absorbed not only the knowledge imparted by his master, but also the essence of his devotion to God. This period of preparation was essential in shaping Elisha not just as a prophet, but as a human being capable of facing the immense challenges that awaited him. Through Elijah's guidance, Elisha learned that serving God was not just about performing powerful acts, but about understanding and acting according to divine will. Cultivating a deep relationship with the Creator and walking in faith, even when the path ahead was invisible to mortal eyes. Elisha's journey, though only just beginning, was already marked by sacrifice, faith, and the promise of a great purpose. The man who once bowed under the sun of Abel-Meholah now stood as a beacon of hope, and a testament to the transformative power of faith. His path ahead would be punctuated by miracles and challenges, by learning and leadership. But in that moment of acceptance and commitment, Elisha already showed himself to be a man ready to face his destiny, armed with the strength of his faith and the certainty that, under divine guidance, each step he took was part of a greater plan. Thus, the story of Elisha unfolds, leaving the audience at the edge of a path filled with wonders and mysteries, eager to witness how this simple man would become one of the greatest prophets whose actions and faith would shape the course of history. In a world where the line between the divine and the earthly is often blurred, Elisha's journey under Elijah's tutelage unfolds like a tapestry full of faith, power, and divine revelations. At the heart of this saga, Elijah, is the epic confrontation on Mount Carmel, an event that not only witnesses the supremacy of Elijah's God, but also serves as a turning point in Elisha's life, shaping him for the challenges and wonders yet to come. The story begins at a moment of peace, palpable tension in Israel. The people, divided in their loyalty between the God of Israel and the pagan gods promoted by Queen Jezebel, were at a crossroads of faith. Elijah, with the confidence of those who serve the true God, challenges the prophets of Baal to a definitive test of power on Mount Carmel. Elisha, as a disciple and witness, watches with attentive eyes and a pounding heart, knowing that the events unfolding would not only define Israel's future, but also deepen his own understanding and relationship with God. The challenge was simple, but its significance profound. Each side would prepare an altar and call upon their God to light the fire. The deity that responded with fire would be recognized as the true God. While the prophets of Baal called out in vain, Elijah prepared his altar with a calm that defied the chaos around, a serenity that Elisha could not help but admire. When Elijah finally prayed, fire descended from heaven, consuming the sacrifice, the altar, and even the water around it, leaving all present in stunned silence. This miracle witnessed by Elisha was not just a demonstration of power, it was a living lesson on God's faithfulness and supremacy. In the days and months that followed, Elisha witnessed many other miracles performed by Elijah. Each of these events taught him about the nature of God and the reality of the spiritual world that permeates our earthly existence. Elisha saw how faith in God could bring provision in times of drought, resurrection of the dead, and deliverance from danger. Each miracle, each lesson, forged in Elisha a spirit of strength and humility, teaching him to trust in divine guidance above all else. But perhaps more than the miracles themselves, it was Elijah's unwavering faith and total dedication to God that most impressed Elisha. Observing Elijah in moments of solitude, fervent prayer, and total dependence on God was to witness the true source of his power. Elisha learned that while miracles were visible manifestations of divine power, it was the close and constant relationship with God that sustained a true prophet. These experiences under Elijah's tutelage not only prepared Elisha for the future challenges of his own ministry, but also planted seeds of hope, faith, and courage in his heart. Elisha's story was only beginning, but each step he took alongside Elijah brought him closer to his divine destiny. For the audience, Elisha's story alongside Elijah offers a captivating journey through the mysteries of faith, the power of prayer, and the reality of a God who intervenes in human history in dramatic and transformative ways. Through Elisha's eyes, they are invited to explore not only the miracles of the past, but also the possibility of miracles in their own lives, awakening an insatiable curiosity about the power and presence of the divine in everyday life. In an ancient world where the breath of the divine intertwines with the lives of mortals, the transition of leadership from Elijah to Elisha is not just a passing of the torch. It is a spiritual journey laden with faith, prophecy, and a calling that would echo through the centuries. This chapter of Elisha's life begins where many stories would end, on the brink of a farewell. Elijah, the prophet whose life was marked by epic confrontations in the name of God, was now facing his final act on earth. Aware that his time had come, he embarks on a final journey with Elisha by his side, a faithful witness not only to his miracles, but also to his humanity. This moment, laden with significance, is where our story deepens, revealing the layers of a relationship forged in faith and the fire of divine service. As they traverse places marked by historical episodes of faith and challenges, Elijah gives Elisha multiple opportunities to say goodbye, avoiding the pain of the final farewell. However, Elisha, with a loyalty that transcends common understanding, refuses to leave his master. "As the Lord lives and as your soul lives, I will not leave you," he declares, a promise that reflects not only his devotion to Elijah but also his commitment to the divine calling that weighed upon him. The arrival at the Jordan marks the culmination of this journey. There, Elijah, with a gesture reminiscent of Moses' miracles, parts the waters, allowing both to cross on dry land. This act, full of symbolism, not only reflected God's power working through Elijah, but also set the stage for Elisha's request, a request that would define his future ministry. Faced with Elijah's imminent departure, Elisha is confronted with the opportunity to ask for what he desires. His choice, "Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." It was not a request for power alone, but a yearning for a measure of faith, courage, and strength to continue his master's legacy, face the challenges ahead, and lead the people with the same divine conviction. Elijah's response, which conditions the granting of the request on Elisha's witnessing of his departure, heightens the narrative's tension. When the moment comes and Elijah is taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elisha witnesses the fulfillment of the divine promise. The vision of the chariot of fire and horses of fire, elements that separated master and disciple, serves as a divine seal of approval on Elisha's request. Now alone, Elisha tears his own clothes in a gesture symbolizing the end of one era and the beginning of another. He picks up Elisha's mantle, which had fallen during his ascent, and places it upon himself. This simple yet profoundly symbolic act marks the transition of leadership and the beginning of Elisha's ministry. For the audience, this transition is not just a testament to a God who changes, it is an invitation to reflect on the meaning of true leadership, legacy, and faith that extends beyond the visible. As Elisha walks away from the Jordan, the story leaves a question hanging in the air. How will this man, now invested with a double portion of his master's spirit, face the challenges ahead? The curiosity is ignited, promising a journey filled with faith, miracles, and the continued manifestation of divine power through Elisha's life. The beginning of Elisha's ministry is marked by an act of faith as bold as it is symbolic. Click. Standing on the banks of the Jordan, before the waters that once yielded to Elijah's command, Elisha faces his first great challenge. It is not just the river that stands in his way. It is the doubt, the expectation, and the shadow of a monumental legacy. The moment is tense, full of expectations. The eyes of the sons of the prophets, witnesses to this rite of passage, are fixed on him, silently questioning whether Elijah's greatness could somehow fall upon Elisha. With Elijah's mantle in hand, Elisha confronts the Jordan, not merely as a physical obstacle, but as the barrier between him and his destiny. "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" he cries, his voice echoing among the surrounding hills. When he strikes the waters with his mantle, a miracle happens. The waters part, recreating the path that Elijah had made before him, and Elisha crosses on dry land. This act, his first miracle, is a powerful declaration of his faith and the continuous presence of God in his ministry. The parting of the Jordan waters is not just an echo of the past, it is a sign for the future. Elisha, now recognized as Elijah's legitimate successor, gains not only respect, but also the admiration of the sons of the prophets. They who had followed Elijah with reverence and awe see in Elisha the continuation of a lineage of power and faith. The spirit of Elijah rests on Elisha. They murmur among themselves, acknowledging his authority and the divine anointing upon his life. As Elisha walks away from the banks of the Jordan, the impact of his first miracle reverberates throughout the land of Israel. This beginning of his ministry, marked by an act of divine power, is merely the prelude to a journey that will test Elisha's faith. Wisdom and courage for the spectator. Elisha's story is an invitation to explore the mysteries of faith, the power of prayer, and the reality of a God who acts in unexpected and miraculous ways. The story continues, promising a tapestry rich in miracles, challenges, and above all, a demonstration of God's love and power in the rich and complex tapestry that makes up Elisha's life. Each miracle woven is a story of faith, power, and divine compassion. After taking on the mantle of prophet, Elisha not only follows in Elijah's footsteps, but also carves his own path, leaving indelible marks on the sands of time and in the hearts of the people of Israel. After Elijah's ascension, Elisha became his successor as the leading prophet of Israel. One of his first miraculous acts, demonstrating the divine power bestowed upon him, occurred in the city of Jericho. The inhabitants of the city approached Elisha with a serious problem. Jericho's waters were contaminated, unfit for consumption, causing death and sterility in the land. At a time when water was a vital resource for survival and prosperity, this situation endangered the life and future of the community. With an action that symbolized both divine intervention and prophetic wisdom, Elisha asked for a new bowl filled with salt. He went to the source of the contaminated waters and poured the salt into it, proclaiming the words of the Lord, "I have healed these waters. From now on there shall be no more death or barrenness." Miraculously, the waters were purified, remedying not only an immediate physical problem, but also restoring hope and the possibility of a prosperous future for Jericho. This miracle by Elisha not only confirmed his role as Elijah's legitimate successor, but also demonstrated God's continuous care for his people, emphasizing that under his guidance, even the most desolate situations can be transformed and revitalized. In a time of despair and need, the narrative of the widow's oil multiplication, as described in the second book of Kings chapter 4 verses 1 to 7, highlights one of the most moving miracles performed by the prophet Elisha. A widow facing overwhelming debt, and on the brink of losing her 2 sons to slavery as payment to the creditor, found herself in a moment of deep crisis. In that time, losing children to debt slavery was a brutal reality. And the widow, without resources or support, turned to Elisha for divine help. Elisha, moved by the woman's precarious situation, asked her what she had in her house, to which she replied she only had a little oil. With compassion and following divine instruction, he directed the widow to gather as many empty vessels as possible from her neighbors. Once gathered, she was to close the doors of her house and begin pouring the oil into all the containers. Elisha, in an act of faith and obedience, the widow followed the prophet's instructions. Miraculously, the oil, which initially was little, multiplied continuously, filling each vessel until there were no more empty containers. This act not only prevented her sons from being taken, but also provided the means for the widow to sell the excess oil, pay all her debts, and still sustain her family. The miracle symbolizes divine provision that surpasses the darkest circumstances, demonstrating that when one seeks God's guidance and acts in faith, even the little that one has can be transformed into abundance, ensuring not just survival but the capacity to thrive. The story of the resurrection of the Shunammite woman's son, narrated in the second book of Kings chapter 4, verses 32 to 37, is one of the most moving and miraculous episodes in the Bible, illustrating the power of faith and divine intervention through the prophet Elisha. The woman of Hunnam had shown extraordinary hospitality to Elisha, providing him with a place to rest whenever he passed through her town. In recognition of her kindness, Elisha prophesied that she would give birth to a son, which came to pass, bringing great joy to the family. However, this joy turned into despair when the boy, now growing, suddenly died. Refusing to accept her son's fate, the Shunammite woman sought out Elisha for help, demonstrating unwavering faith. She not only believed in Elisha's ability to intervene, but also in God's willingness to restore life. Elisha, accompanied by the woman, returned to her house where the boy lay dead. In an act of profound supplication and faith, Elisha prayed to the Lord. As he prayed, the boy's body began to warm, and miraculously, the boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes, signifying his resurrection. This miracle not only reiterates the divine power manifested through Elisha, but also underscores the importance of genuine faith, perseverance, and the reward for hospitality and kindness. The resurrection of the Shunammite son is a story of hope, showing that death and despair can be overcome by faith and the power of God. But the life of a prophet is filled with challenges as arduous as his miracles are wonderful. The incident where youths mock Elisha, calling him baldhead, recorded in the second book of Kings chapter 2, verses 23 to 24, is an intriguing and often debated episode in theological studies. The narrative occurs shortly after Elisha has taken up the mantle of prophet as Elijah's successor. As he approached Bethel, a group of youths came out of the city and began to mock him, exclaiming, "Go up, baldhead! Go up, baldhead!" In response, Elisha cursed them in the name of the Lord, and 2 bears came out of the forest, attacking 42 of the youths. This event is rich in symbolism and lessons. First, the mockery of the youths was not merely a personal offense, but a disrespect to the prophetic authority Elisha carried. "Go up, baldhead" can be interpreted as disdain not just for his appearance but also as a challenge to his ascension as a spiritual leader, perhaps even a sarcastic reference to Elijah's ascension to heaven. The severity of the divine punishment through the bears reflects the gravity of insulting a messenger of God, and by extension God himself. This account serves as a reminder of the importance of respecting spiritual authority and the consequences of irreverence. In the vast chessboard of ancient Middle Eastern geopolitics, Elisha emerges not only as a prophet of God, but as a key player in the machinations of kingdoms and empires. His ability to influence kings and commanders, revealing even the most secret plans, marks a fascinating chapter in his journey, full of intrigues and divine revelations. As the story unfolds, we find Elisha at the center of a celestial espionage network, where his counsel and visions guide the destiny of nations. The scene is tense, with the kingdom of Israel constantly on the brink of war against the Syrians, a perpetual threat at their borders. However, it is in this climate of uncertainty and fear that Elisha shines, his divine connection serving as a compass for Israel's leaders. The narrative reaches a critical point when Elisha reveals to the king of Israel the secret plan of the king of Syria, repeatedly thwarting his ambush attempts. With each move of the enemy, Elisha is there, whispering strategies into the king's ears, his words so precise that the king of Syria himself suspects traitors in his ranks. "Which of us is on the side of the king of Israel?" he demands, unable to comprehend how his intentions are known. Elisha's revelation that the true source of information is a man of God in Israel elevates the story to a new level of intrigue. The king of Syria, determined in his mission to capture the troublesome prophet, sends an army to surround the city where Elisha resides. The tension is palpable when Elisha's servant rises one morning to find the city besieged by enemy forces, fear freezing his heart. But Elisha remains unshaken. "Do not fear," he tells his frightened servant, "for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." With a prayer, Elisha asks God to open his servant's eyes, revealing a mountain full of horses and chariots of fire around Elisha, a celestial army ready to protect God's prophet. The episode continues with Elisha praying for the Syrians to be struck with blindness, then leading them to Samaria, the capital of Israel, where their sight is restored. There, instead of ordering their execution, Elisha instructs the king of Israel to feed and release the Syrian soldiers. This act of mercy and divine strategy results in a temporary truce in hostilities, demonstrating the power of compassion over conflict. Elisha's interactions with kings and commanders are not mere curiosities. They are testimonies to the crucial role that spiritual leadership can play in shaping the destinies of nations in an ancient world marked by conflict and division. The story of Naaman, the commander of the Syrian army, emerges as a tale of overcoming faith and transformation. This is not just a narrative about the physical healing of an unrelenting disease, but a profound journey through the turbulent waters of pride and humility. Guided by the wisdom of Elisha, the prophet of God, Naaman, a respected and feared warrior, whose victories on the battlefield were legendary, faces an adversary that no sword could defeat: leprosy. This disease not only threatened his life but also isolated him, marking him with a stigma that transcended his status and power. Despite his achievements, Naaman was powerless. A giant reduced to a shadow of himself. by his condition. The turning point in Naaman's story begins with a whisper of hope brought by a young Israeli captive in his household, who speaks of a prophet in Samaria capable of restoring his health. Driven by desperation and the possibility of healing, Naaman embarks on his journey to Israel, bringing with him wealth and letters from the king of Syria, hoping to buy his cure. Upon arriving in Israel, Naaman is confronted not only with cultural and political differences, but with a challenge that goes to the core of his identity. Elisha the prophet does not greet him with pomp or ceremony. Instead, he sends a messenger with simple instructions. Go and wash 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be clean. The simplicity Naaman's pride, he expected rituals directly. Detention from the prophet, something befitting his status. The idea of bathing in the Jordan, a river he considered inferior to the rivers of his own land, wounds his pride. Naaman walks away angry and incredulous, unable to see beyond his expectations and prejudices. Here, the story reaches its critical point, not in the waters of the Jordan, but in Naaman's heart. It is the intervention of his servants encouraging humility that changes the tide. They remind him that if the prophet had asked for something difficult, he would have done it without hesitation. Why not something as simple as bathing in a river? Moved by this realization, Naaman submits to the process, dipping 7 times in the Jordan. Emerging from the 7th immersion, his flesh is restored, pure as that of a young boy. This miracle, however, is not just a physical healing. It is a transformation of Naaman's spirit, a lesson in humility, faith, and the understanding that true power does not lie in strength or wealth, but in the simplicity of faith and the acceptance of God's will, of divine grace. Naaman's journey is an invitation to reflect on our own prejudices and pride, and how sometimes the healing we seek for our greatest afflictions requires a simplicity and humility that we may find difficult to accept. The story leaves a question hanging in the air. How willing are we to abandon our pride to receive the blessings that life, sometimes in unexpected ways, offers us? In a world where actions are guided by both faith and human fallibility, the story of Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, unfolds as a cautionary tale against greed and dishonesty. This is not just an isolated episode in one man's life, but a mirror to reflecting the temptations we all face and the inherent consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. Gehazi, who witnessed the miracles and humility of his master Elisha, found himself confronted with a temptation he could not resist. The story reaches a critical point after the healing of Naaman, the Syrian commander, from leprosy. Naaman, overflowing with gratitude, offers Elisha valuable gifts, an offer refused by the prophet, who understood that true healing comes from God and cannot be compensated with material goods. However, Gehazi saw in this refusal not an act of integrity, but a missed opportunity. Driven by greed, he secretly follows Naaman, weaving a lie about Elisha having changed his mind and requesting a portion of the gifts for imaginary visitors. Naaman, unsuspecting of the deceit, generously grants Gehazi more than he asked for. Upon returning, Gehazi hides the fruits of his greed, but what he cannot hide is the truth of his actions before Elisha. The prophet endowed with divine insight confronts Gehazi not only with his lies, but also with the consequences of his actions. The leprosy that once afflicted Naaman now takes hold of Gehazi, a visible sign of his inner corruption and a physical reminder of the gravity of his sins. This turn of events is more than a punishment. It is a lesson about the values that shape our lives and the choices that define our character. Gehazi's greed, in contrast to Elisha's generosity and faith, reveals a fundamental human flaw: the desire for material gain above spiritual and moral values. Gehazi's fall is a moment of deep reflection in an age where the temptation of greed disguises itself in numerous ways. The story resonates with the enduring truth that wrong choices bring lasting consequences. Gehazi's leprosy is not just a divine punishment, but a reminder of the importance of living a life marked by honesty, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to goodness. In a world full of challenges and uncertainties, the life of the prophet Elisha serves as a beacon of hope, illuminating the truth that no request is too small, no problem too insignificant for the compassionate gaze of God. Among the many chapters that compose his extraordinary journey, the smaller miracles performed by Elisha resonate with a profound message about divine care and the subtle yet powerful life lessons. Transcription: our story unfolds in the simplicity of everyday life, where Elisha, surrounded by his disciples, faces challenges that, at first glance, may seem trivial, but reveal the depths of divine providence and mercy. First, there is the incident of the deadly stew, a meal prepared with good intentions, but inadvertently poisoned by wild herbs. As panic sets in among the men who begin to eat, Elisha's calm and confidence emerge as an anchor. With a handful of flour, he neutralizes the poison, transforming the deadly stew into a nourishing meal. This act, though it may seem modest, carries the powerful reminder that God cares about our most basic needs and is always ready to save us from visible and invisible threats. Next, there is the miracle of the multiplication of bread. On an ordinary day before 100 hungry men, Elisha is presented with a humble offering, 20 barley loaves and fresh grain. In human terms, it would be impossible for such an amount to be enough to feed so many. But in Elisha's hands, it becomes a testament to God's inexhaustible provision. With a blessing, the bread is multiplied, leaving not only enough to satisfy everyone, but also leftovers, echoing the miracle of the loaves and fishes that would come in the New Testament. These miracles, while seemingly small, emphasize that divine intervention is present in the minutiae of life, reassuring us that God's care and provision extend to all aspects of our existence. Elisha's life, marked by these acts of faith and compassion, teaches us that living in alignment with divine will bring not only personal fulfillment, but also blessings to those around us. Through his journey, we are invited to see the world through a lens of faith, understanding that miracles can occur in the most unexpected and humble circumstances. These miracles, while they may seem minor in comparison to parting waters or raising the dead, are immense in their significance. They teach that God is not just a God of grand gestures and dramatic moments. He is present in the daily concerns of life, attentive to our most mundane needs, ready to intervene with his grace even in situations we might consider small or ordinary. These stories of Elisha serve as a window into the soul of the divine, revealing a God who delights in caring for his children in all aspects of their lives. They invite reflection on the many ways God manifests in everyday life, often in forms we might easily overlook or underestimate. In the end, the message is clear. No problem is too small for God, and his presence and care permeate all aspects of our existence, offering not only sustenance and security, but also unwavering love and compassion. In an ancient world where battles between nations were as frequent as the changing seasons, the story of Elisha, a prophet whose faith shaped the destiny of Israel, stands out as a beacon of hope and divine power. In a time when fear and uncertainty surrounded the people of Israel, Elisha not only faced the Syrian forces with courage, but also demonstrated that true strength lies in dependence on God. Elisha's legacy, however, transcends the miracles and teachings of his life. After his death and burial, the narrative tells of a remarkable event that occurred while some Israelites were burying a man. They spotted a band of Moabite raiders approaching, and in the ensuing panic, the body of the man was hastily thrown into Elisha's tomb. Upon coming into contact with Elisha's bones, the dead man revived and stood up. This posthumous miracle not only highlights Elisha's holiness as a man of God, but also serves as an enduring testament to God's power, which is not confined by human constructs of time and space. The ability of Elisha's bones to bring life is a tangible demonstration that God's presence and his ability to perform miracles did not end with the prophet's physical death. Elisha's story offers a journey rich in drama, teachings, and reflections. His interactions with kings, his confrontation with Syrian forces, and the miracles he performed serve as a reminder that even in times of great adversity, faith in God can pave the way for unimaginable solutions. Elisha teaches us that true leadership is marked not only by the ability to perform great deeds, but by humility, compassion, and an unwavering faith that inspires others to trust in God. As we delve into the rich spiritual legacy of Elisha, we are reminded of the transformative power of faith, divine power, and mercy that shaped his life. Through numerous miracles, thoughtful decisions, and penetrating teachings, this journey through Elisha's life calls us to deep introspection on our own spiritual paths, encouraging us to seek a path illuminated by robust faith and actions that resonate with divine inspiration. If this content has been valuable to you, please support me with your subscription so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Together, we can enlighten more minds and expand our understanding. Thank you for being here, and may God bless you.